One of our remaining stoplights. This one's going to go away in a couple of years. Now see, this is the frustrating part. 5 cars have now gone through the light in the other direction, and we're sitting here. Nobody else in sight. If this is an electric car, but if it were a gasoline-powered car, we'd be sitting there burning fuel. I really don't think we should be building stoplights. I think the default should be a roundabout, and you should have to prove why a roundabout would not work or a stoplight would work better.
For 27 years now, Jim Brainerd has been waging a war against stoplights in his role as mayor of the city of Carmel, a northern suburb of Indianapolis. Over the course of his 7 terms, he's diligently worked to convince the city to install roundabouts instead of the color-coded traffic signals we're all used to. And he's been remarkably successful. Today, 147 roundabouts dot the Carmel landscape, more than any other city in the United States, in a town of just over 100,000 residents.
I had been fortunate enough to go to graduate school in England, and they built a lot of roundabouts. In fact, they invented what's called the modern roundabout back in the early 1960s. I knew nothing about civil engineering or road building or road design, but I had driven on those in England, and I thought, these things work better than stoplights. So after I was elected mayor, I called in one of our consulting engineers and asked him to build a roundabout. His point of reference were the old traffic circles in New England called rotaries, or the Mid-Atlantic states, like DuPont Circle, Columbus Circle in New York. Indianapolis Circle would be an example of that. And they're big, you're not angled when you go into them, they're multi-lane. And because they're big, people go faster inside of them, and they switch lanes inside of them. And so these old-fashioned traffic circles were actually more dangerous than stoplights. And so we started to build the modern roundabouts. One of the challenges we had in the very beginning was explaining to the people who live here and drive here and have businesses here about how this works and why we're doing it. We worked with the school driver's ed teachers so they could teach young students how to drive through the roundabouts. Our state Bureau of Motor Vehicles eventually put a page about how to drive through roundabouts in the driver's manual that the students and new drivers use to prepare for their driving test. I went on every radio show and TV show I could to talk about why we were building roundabouts, so we did a lot.
But how are modern roundabouts superior to traffic light intersections? The key is in the design. Gentle curves force drivers to slow down as they approach, calming traffic and creating a safe space for pedestrians to cross. Incoming vehicles only need to yield to traffic already in the roundabout. The lane markings help guide drivers to the exit of their choice. If drivers make a mistake, they can just keep on going until they get it right. And while it might seem counterintuitive, roundabouts improve overall traffic flow even as they slow down drivers.
The big thing, especially when you're replacing a four-way stop, every single vehicle coming to that intersection has to stop. And especially when you have imbalances in traffic, you may have one line of traffic that's 15 cars deep and they're stopping for another line of traffic that just has a single car. So that's where you start getting your efficiencies is as the one car clears, now we can get a more steady flow of traffic. You know, this is a perfect example that as this car approaches the roundabout, they slow down, yield, and proceed through. If the old stoplight was here and they got stopped, they would have to stop and wait.
In the nearly 3 decades that Mayor Brainerd has been in office, the population of Carmel has more than tripled. The rate of serious traffic accidents, however, has remained flat. That, Mayor Brainerd says, is due in large part to Carmel's roundabouts.
We're human. We make errors. There's a human error rate, 1 out of 1,000, 1 out of 10,000, whatever it is. There's going to be a crash from time to time. The question is that going to be a high-speed crash? Is it going to be a T-bone or a side swipe? Is it going to be at 50 miles an hour or 15 miles an hour? And that's what makes the difference. Speed really does kill people.
There are environmental benefits as well. By reducing traffic congestion, the city estimates that each roundabout saves around 24,000 gallons of fuel each year.
And time's important too. It goes back to quality of life. I've had constituents in Carmel tell me, you gave me back 15, 20 minutes, half an hour of my life every day because I can get to work 15 minutes faster and I can get home 15 minutes faster because the roundabouts move traffic so much faster and more efficiently than traffic lights do.
Mayor Brainerd says the city saves about $400,000 at a new intersection by not installing a traffic signal, while retrofitting a traditional stoplight intersection can cost several $1,000,000. Regardless, he says the positive knock-on effects are worth it.
So many times a mayor gets a call from a constituent saying, you've got to do something about traffic on this street or that street. And the go-to answer traditionally has been widen the street, add more lanes to get more cars through that traffic light when it turns green. All we're doing is building a bigger parking lot, paving over more land to get more cars through that traffic light. But if we can put that same money into fixing the intersection, focused on intersection capacity, not lane capacity, we don't have to widen that street. It saves tons of money, allows more room in that right-of-way for a bike lane and sidewalks, maybe trees down the middle.
Mayor Brainerd is stepping down at the end of his current term. By then, there will only be a handful of stoplights left in the city. And while he understands a new administration will bring about changes, he's confident a retreat from roundabouts will not be one of them.
And it's become a sense of pride for the people that live in Carmel. We tried something new and different, and there's some risks to that. It may not have worked. As a result, we have one of the safest, if not the safest, transportation system of any city anywhere. And it shows that if people come together as a community and are willing to try new things, we can make great improvements in the quality of life.